Hey, welcome everybody to Pealed Back's LiveCast Conversation with series. As always, I'm your host, Gene Bernier, the enjoyment coach. So if you're new to the LiveCast Conversation with, this is just a series that I get to interview really cool people doing incredible things, and we get to share a little bit of gems about what they do. My goal to you is to make sure that you're left with some insights that maybe you can apply right away. Anyways, on this episode lucky number 13, I have my good friend, Ryan Lancaster. Welcome, my friend.
Boom. I'm very excited to be here, especially after that intro. I'm like, if I wasn't energized before, I'm pumped up now.
Well, as part of the journey with the LiveCast, I'm always trying to do 1% different or better than I did on the last one. So I want to take a stab at reading out your bio, if you're all right for that experiment.
Hit me, man.
All right. So Ryan Lancaster is an entrepreneur, writer, blogger, and speaker. He is extremely passionate about supporting both the business and nonprofit communities, which he does by helping meaningful organizations create rapid and sustainable growth. Over the last 5 years, Ryan has built an online personal development community, run a successful marketing agency, launched a national fundraising and corporate social responsibility marketing initiative, and most recently helped an early stage social enterprise tech company scale to a projected 3 million ARR. If you don't know what that means, that's annual renewing revenue. In less than 1 year, Ryan has now launched his own B2B growth hacking engine, which he calls leadstack.io. He's currently based in beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. Ryan, that's just the tip of the iceberg, my friend.
Oh man, you make me sound way cooler than I think I sound.
I don't know. That's true.
I might just bring you on as my hype man. You can just we'll walk down the street and you could just give that intro to random strangers.
Hey, if it's something I could be paid to do, I would love that.
Boom, you're in, man. You're hired.
Well, Ryan, that was a lot of things you've done in the last 5 years. You want to, let's hear from the horse's mouth a little bit about what this 5-year journey's been for you.
Yeah, man, I would say transformative is definitely the word I would choose. The last 5 years has been a really incredible ride. I found myself about 5 years ago, as a lot of people do, turning 30 and wondering what I was doing with my life. I spent a lot of time, binge drinking on the weekends and a lot of Netflix and chill, just not really, being super productive and or following my passions in a lot of ways. And so, the big 3-0 really kicked me in the ass along with some big exterior things that happened in my life, and that really just got the ball rolling, and one thing is just sort of led into another and I think it's interesting when you're just open to where life can take you and you're following your passions, how life can just continue to open up for you if you continue to say yes to it. So that's how all of that stuff has sort of transpired. I'm happy to dive into detail into any of it. Yeah, I'm sure we will. That's why we're here.
There is so much detail to dive into it. I think we should just start with the whole, when you came to this realization going, oh man, I don't know if I'm doing what I really love doing, and how that kind of started to unfold for you. Tell us a little bit about the Scale My Life initiative and how that really did scale and change your life.
Yeah. So as I said, I was I was turning 30. It was the summer of, I want to say, 2015, I guess, if we do the math properly there. And I'd had actually a pretty tough summer. I was, I was in a lot of debt, and I was just, kind of spinning my wheels and feeling a little frustrated with my life in general as it was. And then that summer, I actually had 3 close friends pass away really, tragically and unexpectedly. And so they were all 3 of them people that I really admired, I really looked up to. They were, entrepreneurs. They were, larger than life people who, did big, exciting things with their lives and really followed their passions. And when they passed, it really shook me to my core, and it actually sent me into a pretty serious depression at the time, because I couldn't reconcile, what my life looked like, and what, through a lot of inaction and indecision, I'd found myself in a place that I wasn't really happy with. And so by the end of that year, things had started to get really negative. I was getting really negative. I was lashing out at people, and just like getting myself into a further and further depressed state. And then finally, I felt like really trapped by the life that I created for myself unintentionally. And I felt like I couldn't make any big changes to make the shifts that I needed to change my life. And so at the end of the new year, I said, okay, well, if I can't make any big changes, like what small things can I do to try and shift my life for the better, and not really be attached to the outcome, but just, start doing something rather than nothing, which is what I had been doing for so long. So at the end of the year, I wrote down a big list of big, crazy life goals, things that I've always wanted to pursue or always wanted to accomplish and explore. And I picked 12 of them, and I said, okay, I'm going to do one challenge every month for 12 months, and just commit myself to that. And just those small changes every month really led to some like massive results in my life. And because I really wanted, one of the things that I really wanted to do was express my creativity and vulnerability. And so I started a blog and started sharing my journey to scale my life, and it turned into this really incredible community that really, it took me into like so many different places. I did everything from live on a budget of $250 for an entire month to try and be more minimalist and more conservative with my finances, to learning to cook by cooking something new every single day for an entire month, to committing to learn or to experience something new every single day for an entire month, to learning to swim and swimming across the Okanagan Lake, which is 2.2 kilometers long or across. And at the time, I actually didn't know how to open water swim, and I had a lot of personal fears around it. So it was a big undertaking to try and commit to doing that in 30 days. So all of those things over the course of the 12 months, just those small micro changes led to some really massive shifts, and led me to, all of the other things you heard on that big bio there, right? So.
Well, and then you went from like doing these challenges every month, doing some crazy ones, really pushing yourself wildly out of your comfort zone while your friends were supporting you, because that's what friends do. No one was.
I think I know. Maybe somebody was a big champion of the cause.
Well, then you did some. You start. What did you start with? You decided to do one of those Barter Up challenges.
Yeah. So at the end of the Scale My Life year, I wanted to keep pursuing, big challenges, and some of the things that I really wanted to focus on were travel, because I never actually traveled outside of my small little West Coast or Western Canadian experience here, and the other thing was purpose and trying to find avenues to actually give back to the community. And I'd had a lot of that when I was in college, and it had really gotten away from me. So, what could I do to try and encompass those two things? So I decided that I was going to try and drive across Canada and raise money for charity. And the way that I thought I could do that was to get an old school bus and convert it into one of these. I'm going to try and get my quotes in the frame this time. Schoolie buses. So for those who don't know, SKOOLIE, Schoolie is a if you look up like hashtag Schoolie, it's a whole genre of people, a whole community of people that take these old buses and they convert them into these like incredible living spaces. And I really love the concept of shrinking my life down into something smaller so that I could do more. So that was what it started with. And at the time, I didn't really have any money or any support to do this. So I said, okay, well, what small things can I do to try and create some momentum, as I just done with my last year? And so I really love the concept of this bartering, bigger, better trading. I'd heard about another guy out of Saskatchewan that had actually traded all the way from a paperclip up to a house. And so I thought, well, if this guy can go all the way up to a house, like I should be able to get to a bus. So I put this out on social media and I just started hustling for trades for anybody that I could trade with. I started with like a small $2 button that said I Heart or I Maple Leaf Canada. And in 5 trades and 6 weeks, I managed to go from a button to a T set to a Nikon SLR camera to an electric scooter to a Sea-Doo to a 32-foot long bus.
That's quite the journey in a short period of time. It's just incredible what that shows and what can be done with just some determination and just showing up and doing it, right? I feel like that line is going to be part of this entire rest of this conversation. And looking back on it, Ryan, would Ryan of 2014, if he went, yes, I'm going to try to get this schoolie and just jump to that without doing the scale my life component, do you think that Ryan would have been able to withstand everything that it would take to do that?
I don't think that Ryan would have even attempted it because I think that Ryan was really, scared of taking those kinds of risks to begin with. So it was easier to stay in the bubble, in the comfort zone, and not push out into the uncomfortable places. And all of Scale My Life was really about pushing myself into uncomfortable places. And the bus project, which was later deemed the $1 million bus, was exactly the same thing. Pushing myself into uncomfortable places and taking risks. And not being afraid of where they could lead me or the potential failures that could come with them. And there was definitely some failures along the way, but lessons. And then I think what Scale My Life allowed me to do was have that perseverance to keep moving forward even through those challenges.
Right. I hear you say the word failure, and then you quickly said lessons. Are they really, like, if you look back now on them, do you really look at those as fail points or as you having the bravery to step into it and learn from it?
I mean, it depends on how you want to look at the word failure.
How would you define the word failure?
I think failure, it can be true in a moment, but true failure only happens when you don't learn from the lessons you can take from that failure, and you don't persevere to strive forward to do something with that information, right? And so I think I definitely didn't fail in the macro, but in the micro, they were definitely failures. They were big failures. Like they were just things that I didn't know, and a lot of big assumptions and things that I took for granted that unfortunately led to some pretty serious setbacks. And now I feel like, and I'm happy to pull the onion back on those if you want to dive into them. But
it's baked into the name. So
yes, I know, we're peeling it back.
Yeah. What was it? You were telling me you got to peel the onion back, smell the onion. So let's get into that part.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, well, what do you want to dive into first? I mean,
well, when I like you looking at like in the micro in the moment, you're like, oh wow, that was a failure. But when you pull it back, looking at the grand scheme of it, you're like, no, that was just like that wasn't a failure. That didn't stop you from not showing up again, right? You were able to still take things from that and go, right? And how powerful it is for somebody to be able to go, it's okay to take this punch in the face. And we'll talk about entrepreneurship in a little bit here, but like really, like sometimes failure feels like a hard punch to the gut to somebody, and it's just like, oh, I'm not getting back up. But what you taught yourself through all those initiatives and through all that work is like, you're going to get punched, you get back up, and then you go find out where the next punch is really going to come from, right? And how are you prepared to handle it is actually much more different than, going, oh man, I had the failures, but like, well, no, they are going to be there. And it sounds like you went, well, screw it. They're going to be there. So how do I learn to get up and handle them better?
Yeah, for sure. That's I think like if you look at investors invest into entrepreneurs and not their businesses, and I think what they objectively look at is is this somebody who has that skill set, who has that self-awareness, or who has overcome their own failures and persevered, because often when you start business, it's what you started with as a vision and an idea, what it ends up resulting into what your business actually looks like and is functional, sustainable, and scalable can be drastically different. And to be able to be to take those hard lessons and not be afraid to take the risks in shifting to where you need to go. And that's not just true in business. I think it's true in life as well, right? And then also being, one of the big lessons I've found with failure, and just in business and life as well, is like detaching yourself from the expectation of what the results need to be. And I think it helps put that failure in a much better perspective, right? Because if you need to make $1 million, if you need to have like hit your personal fitness goal of being number one on the stage or whatever that looks like, then that failure is all encompassing, right? But like if your goal is to push yourself to the limit, if your goal is to build an incredible business, then you've never really lost, you've never really failed, you've just not hit that goal yet, right? So or you're still enjoying the pursuit. So
yeah, and I love how you added the word "yet" to that. That is so important.
Yes,
because like now I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to set those big goals, because it gives you something to work towards to. But it's like once you achieve that goal, that moment is really like temporary as well, right? Like people will concentrate on just sacrificing everything to hit one of those types of benchmarks, then get there and go, and now what?
What am I doing here? Yeah, exactly.
Why do I feel empty? Like, because you didn't enjoy the journey. Maybe you sacrificed all the things that your inner voice was telling you not to sacrifice because you were looking at the wrong thing. Like, yeah, you want to learn how to be the person that can run $1 million company. That's a different journey when you say it like that, because every one of those steps, you're like, man, what's up? Like we were talking about earlier, is like my 1% around this and the coaching work is like, how do I be 1% better or different every week so that I can learn something new, right? And it's taking that and applying it to that type of journey is way more important, because then when you get there, you're like, oh, I really like the person that I've become, and I can still look back. Now I've got all, like you've learned, I've got all these new like muscles just through determination and ooh, look at those.
Boom.
Looks like you've been hitting.
Don't put me to shame now. I know how much you work out.
Well, this is nothing compared to some people, right? But but everyone's on their own journey. But being able to hit that and get through that journey and learn how to take the journey is the most important part about it.
Totally. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It is about the journey, and like I've been really fortunate that my journey has continued to open up for me and continued to give me new opportunities, and I think always being in pursuit of that what makes you happy, what drives you, what are you passionate about, allows you to continue to find those opportunities, because you're like I love the challenge of being challenged, and so that's for me like just keep moving the bar further and further, and I'll continue to be content, right? So and I like yourself, love working with people that are have that same kind of drive, but maybe don't have that perspective, right? And don't have that thought process. So being able to set those little grounding tools in can be a massive shift for someone, right? So whether they're an entrepreneur or just in their life.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more, Ryan. Well, let's talk about your entrepreneur journey and where it's led. You're in early stages with Lead Stack, and this isn't your first kick at the can at something. So tell us a little bit about how over the last 2 years you've kind of ended up where you are now on this new journey with Lead Stack, the B2B growth hacking engine.
Yeah. So sales and marketing has always been something of a passion of mine. My most of my professional career has been in sales and marketing. So it has been one of those things where everything I've done, whether it's the blog, whether it's the marketing agency, whether it's the $1 Million Bus, have always encompassed that entrepreneurial approach and that how that strategy of how to grow and engage people and resonate with people, right? So for me, like the journey from say like over the last 2 years with the bus project has been really it's really interesting, because like the bus project, as I said, had these like incredible wins. We raised a lot of funds for a lot of organizations, and we lived in an old school bus for almost a full year. If you combine all the dates together, and so it was a really beautiful and wonderful experience. But unfortunately, like structurally had a lot of flaws, as it was really unscalable and unsustainable. And so I've been kind of coming back to the drawing board on like, what can I build which really has the sustainability and scalability and impact that I want to create. And so about a year ago, I got involved with an organization called Trellis. Trellis.org is a social enterprise. They're located here in Kelowna as well, but they're a North American-wide charity events and fundraising platform. And they were a really early stage startup and needed help getting themselves from that, I need to know who my customer is and how to connect with them, what their problems are, and how to access a larger market. And so, the founder and I were actually old friends. And funny enough, I used Trellis before it was like a dream of a dream. And I was building the $1 Million Bus project, and he was building Trellis. And so the very first fundraiser that we did out in St. John's, Newfoundland, I actually used Trellis to do the fundraising campaign for them. But they had nothing working. Like they were like, we really want to support you, so we're just going to figure this out. And like literally in like true entrepreneurial fashion, like it was like a landing page which I could like put the crowdfunding video on, and it had a thermometer, and it had a donate button, but nothing was connected. So in the back end, so, like somebody make a donation, and then I'd get a notification, and then I'd text their devs and their designers, and they would like go and pencil in the thermometer just like a little bit further. But on the weekends, you know, they weren't around, so everybody would be texting me like, hey, did my donation go through? And I'm like, yeah, just don't worry, it's coming. And then on Monday I'd be like so long story short, I had a really great opportunity to get to work with that purposeful organization, and over the year, we took a lot of the the business skills and a lot of the marketing skills that I developed doing the other projects, and brought them to Trellis, and really not just myself, but the whole team grew exponentially, and just in that short time we were able to rapidly scale that organization, and now the value that I got in doing that, coming back to like, what is my purpose, and like, what do I why am I here, and what are my passions, and working with entrepreneurs that have meaningful organizations, whether they're nonprofit or for-profit, that need help, getting their companies and organizations off the ground and scaling, and really tapping into who it is that they're helping, and how they can help them, is just a big passion of mine. And so this LeadStack.io combines all of the experience that I've had over the last 10 years in sales and marketing, and all of the research and kind of innovative technologies that I've been able to get my hands on, to create that growth. And now, as you mentioned, we actually just launched official launch. I guess it's actually probably, you could say, today. I've been doing some client work, but the website itself, we were laughing just before we went live here, because I think Gene checked my website this morning and it was still a WordPress template, but officially it is a thing now. You can go to LeadStack.io, and it's got my beautiful face on there, and some of the strategies and some of the metrics that we've been able to achieve with the program.
Right on, man. Like, well, I think it's like the fact that we were having a little laugh around that you just launched it. Like, being on here was a bit of a pressure cooker, right? Because
totally,
like, thank you so much for the honor to have your time. I always love that, but you've got clients and you're busy, and it's funny how sometimes the the shoemaker's kids have the worst shoes sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
True, right? Like you're in the thick of it working with clients, and then some guy's like, hey, you want to be on this show? We'll talk about your new business. You're like, oh crap, I guess I got to make a website for that business.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think as well, like, for anybody that's got the entrepreneur spirit in them, is to know that Ryan didn't need that to get going. He needed this idea and needed to be putting himself in front of people. Is like, yes, it's nice. Yes, it helps down the road. But like, did that stop your first sets of clients from even having a conversation with you?
No, not at all. I mean, thankfully, I was able to build and validate the business offline, and prove it out with the clients that I've been able to work with so far. And now, to be able to take on more clients, and really ramp this up, like you said, it's like, okay, well, now time to fix the shoemaker's shoes and make sure that they're shiny, so that people don't think that he's a bad shoemaker. So yeah, so the website is something that I've been procrastinating for a while, and it's definitely something that it was one of those things where when we booked this session, I was like, okay, this is it. This is the time. And it literally this morning, I had most of the design done, but still like some last minute tweaks. And you're right. It's not perfect. It's not as fine tuned as I'd like it to be. But what I really need is for to put myself out there, and like, once I'm out there, I can build as I go, and my early adopters are aren't going to care about those little cracks in the seams. They're going to care about the outcomes that they're getting, right? So
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I'm really excited about focusing on, and now having the time to tweak these little visuals and things like that, right?
And it's still really early stage for you too, right? Like as you grow and as you do more work with more clients, all this stuff's going to change. Like, not, I've got it up on my other screen, so I'm looking over at it, and it's just like, you know what? It's shipped. Somebody can now go, does this resonate with me?
Yeah.
And it just helps with that. And you're going to be able to use this as just one of those many pieces of tools, or tools in your toolbox to help people understand what resonates. So we're on the site, we're looking at it. Give us the pitch to LeadStack.
The pitch. LeadStack.io is part accelerator and part software. So we help business B2B organizations scale, and we help them do that really strategically and really rapidly. So what I do is work directly with our clients to put them through an accelerator program, define what their niche is, define who it is that they're talking to, and what the problem that their actual customers have, and what the best copy is that we can create to cut through the noise and connect with them. And then we take them through building really unforgettable marketing assets that again engage people. And then the big thing is building trust. And we were talking about this the other day, that this video content and putting yourself out there is a big portion of being able to build trust. And people buy from people that they feel comfortable purchasing from. And if there's no trust, then you can't just scream at people to buy from you, even if you have a really incredible solution. You're like, if people on the streets just like had megaphones and were like, do business with me, like, I don't think that you're going to get a lot of business from that. But if you establish a relationship with somebody, then you can create that opportunity. So we use some really hyper targeted lead development strategies to find exactly the right leads that you want to go after, and then some really smart engagement tools to connect with them early on, build that trust, build that relationship, and then when you do make the outbound ask, we hyper personalize that ask so that you get a much higher return on that engagement. But we can do that through some really smart AI at scale. So once you get through the program, you've created the content, you know who your niche is, and you know the messaging that'll connect with them, and you have a strategic list of who you're going after. So the software that we have literally just sends these messages and puts people through the funnel, and you end up with these like incredible leads in your inbox on a monthly basis that have a really high conversion rate for your business.
Right. So who's the best person to come work with you, right? Like, so what's your ideal client? So me as a coach, is that the right fit? Are you looking just in the SaaS model? Like how do I know if I'm a good fit for LeadStack.io?
Yeah. So we specialize in outbound, and for an outbound strategy to work, your cost per lead is usually a little bit higher, but if you're selling larger ticket items, then that model works for you, because your conversion rates are going to be much higher as well. So if you're selling a B2B product and it's a higher ticket item, the trust you have to build, the barriers that you have to create, and finding exactly the right target audience is much more paramount than on like lower ticket items. So if you're selling courses and small consumer products, this isn't the right fit for you. But if you're a B2B business and you are selling larger ticket items and you need a way to, again, find the right people and then build that trust with them, and then convert them into customers. That's really what we specialize in.
Right. So do you work with people that are service providers, somebody that's got like a product off the shelf? Like, what's that? So we've identified you have a high ticket price. Let's call that north of $10,000.
It's generally like $2,000 and up for for your gross profit within like what you're selling.
Okay, so profit, that's an important word there for people to hear too, right? Because maybe it takes you $10,000 in revenue to be able to get that $2,000 in profit out. So if what you're selling is $2,000 in profit or more, Ryan's service can help you get more of that, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And again, it usually would fall in that B2B market, it can be a service or a product. So either business model works, but the B2B market is really where we specialize, because we can strategically find those potential leads for you and make sure that they're exactly who you're looking for. We can scrape that data and then put them through the funnel process so that you have a really high optimization of closing them.
So what's some of the, what's the common things you see with your clients as they're coming to you, like going, how would they start to self-identify? Because maybe somebody's like, oh, I think I'm doing all right. And then they're going to watch this and go, oh, I recognize what he's talking about.
Well, I think if you're struggling to get traction with your marketing, there's a lot of noise in the market about what solutions work and what don't work. And I think the problem is that everybody says their solution works, and a lot of them have a really hard time backing that up, right? So yeah, I know, crazy, right? And especially for those like larger ticket B2B items, the sales cycle and the process there can be very muddy. And so a lot of entrepreneurs go through, they might get some initial traction, and then they find themselves in that trough of sorrow, right? Like you're not your marketing isn't turning leads for you anymore, and you're burning your runway, and you're not really getting your marketing messaging isn't actually converting, and a lot of that could be for a lot of reasons. You're not talking to the right niche, and you haven't niched down further enough to know that you're providing the solution to the pain point of who your customer is, right? It could be that you're targeting too many people, and so that sort of like spray and pray model of like, well, I'll just market to everyone and then hope that the ones that like the thing that I'm saying fall through the crack. Well, that's an extremely inefficient model, and also the conversion rates are going to be extremely low. So you're going to end up spending a lot of money and getting a really low returns, right? Or you're just not building enough trust with your user base, right? So you've got the right people and the right message, but they don't know who you are, so you can't. Your conversion rates are low because you're just screaming at them saying like, hey, do business with me, even though they might love the thing that you have, and you know that they'll love the thing that you have, but like if you haven't put in the strategic effort to do that, then your marketing messaging is going to fall flat, right? And your funnels aren't going to convert. So so that's really like, if you find that's where you're at with your B2B business, where you're not getting those sort of your marketing is stagnating, your revenue is dropping, or you're an early stage entrepreneur and you haven't defined those things for yourself yet, we can put you through the accelerator program, teach you what you need to know to define those things, and then validate them, and then when we do pour gasoline on it, it grows really quickly.
Right. I love that. The fact that you talk about helping people validate it, right? I think we both know a lot of entrepreneurs that had this idea, got really passionate about it, and like, everyone's just going to see it. And then all of a sudden the reality comes crashing down, and it's just like, why doesn't no one like it? Be like, have you talked to anybody about this? Well, my friends think it's cool. Are they buying it? No. There you go. Like,
but somehow they'll still manage to raise capital. And then and then they're like, now they're really fucked because they're like, I have all this money and I don't know what to do with it, and I'm burning my runway, and I have a ping pong table, but I don't know how to actually get clients, right? So so that happens all the time, and if you're stuck in that place, it's because you've missed a step, right? Or you've bought into something that has missed, that doesn't have those strategic steps to validate the process and like understand exactly who you're talking to and how you're solving their problems, right? So and then you got to find them, right? So that's the other big component that we really help with, is like you know who you're talking to, and you can build trust with them if you can find them, but like trying to find them in this ethos of the global village is like sometimes impossible, right? And again, you end up doing those spray and pray models, right? So like the garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you put in really high quality, really well defined leads that your product or service is exactly what they're looking for, then quality out. You're gonna close more leads and get more business.
Well, I think as well, like where the power of like what you're providing people now is when you start a business, you are starting it from that passion spot. You saw a problem, you're like, great, I'm gonna solve it. And maybe you've got a couple like easy win clients. Not that any client's ever easy win, but like usually if you found a problem, it's because it tied to something very direct that you could reach out to and start working on it. Then that business starts to get bigger. One of those hats that you have to have on is a sales hat. And for a lot of people, that's either a scary or bad word, or just a foreign subject altogether, because they haven't done that. So what you're being able to provide them is a huge piece of their business, which is that sales and marketing. How does all that integrate, and how do you learn to craft the right message, which is a job, like a massive job all in itself. And if you're focusing on that, you're taking the time away from actually building the other parts of the business that are actually solving the problem. So partnering with you allows you to be like, look, I know how to ask these questions, and my team knows how to ask these questions. We're going to interview you. Then we're going to help you validate the hell out of this, so that when you go back to when you're building the right thing for the right people.
Yeah. Well, right. And just like we were talking about before, in like expectations and reality, and like how both in life and on the entrepreneurial journey, sometimes those are very different things, right? So, what you think your niche is, or what problem you think you're solving, or the mechanism that you've chosen to solve it. If you haven't validated that along the way, then you're playing with fire, and it's only a matter of time till you're going to burn yourself out and burn your business out, right? So do the hard things and the smart things first. It will pay dividends for years to come, right? So
I love that you added do the hard things first, because that's so important. Like, so many of us will avoid doing the hard things because we want to go do the easy things up front. You do the hard things, your life gets easier down the road. Totally. And you do the easy things up front, well, your life's going to get hard down the road. So it's your pick on what version of your life you want to invest in 5 years, right? And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're committing to like 5 to 10 years, if just to be moderately successful.
Totally. If not the rest of your life. I mean, depending on the type of business, right? So, I totally agree, man. And the more that you can not focus on those vanity metrics, and the more that you can focus on the real hard, dirty truths of your business, then the better you're going to be in the long run. Or maybe you don't have a business, and that's a hard reality to face, but it's better you face it now than facing it in a year, 2, 3 years after you've like burnt up your life savings and took a bunch of money from your friends and family, and now you feel real bad, right? So that's how big depression starts. So and
that can be a scary place for people, right? Like I was gonna think about taking it down that path as well. As like you need to be doing that hard stuff, because if somebody gives you their hard-earned money, or you're burning into your life savings, like, and you don't hit, that is a punch that some people don't get up from, and that can be really scary on a lot of fronts. So knowing if you're going to step into this world of entrepreneurship, it isn't shiny. It isn't, it can be fun. It can be enjoyable, but you're going to have moments that are like horribly uncomfortable. You know, like you're going to have like really happy moments and really like damn near depression moments. And you're going to need to be able to handle all of that with some grace and know that being an entrepreneur is like basically signing up to get punched in the face every day. And you have to take that punch, get back up and go, may I have another?
Yeah.
Every day.
Totally. Well, hopefully, if they follow my program, hopefully only the first few months. And then after that, then they've got clients and they're
down to less abusive areas. But
yes, exactly.
You're still going to learn it, right? Because as soon as Ryan solves your sales problem, well, now you're going to have potentially a production problem.
Totally.
Then you're going to have a sales problem again. And like these are just cycles that are just going to keep on showing up. Solving one problem usually comes around by there will be more. There will always be more. And just being ready and accepting of that, not going, why is this happening to me? Be like, you made this choice. Like, this is what's going to happen to you. You have to be here to solve problems. And Ryan, you've seen a problem and now you're going off and helping others solve it so that they can get to their good work by you delivering your gift.
Totally, man. I couldn't agree more. And I'm like very excited to be launching this and to be working with entrepreneurs who are driven and are passionate and want to, create meaningful organizations. And, if I can give them that gift of building a smarter, better business and then helping them actually scale it, that's the ultimate reward for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm super happy with you. And like I'd said in the preamble before we got started, 45 minutes is going to fly by. We're actually at 46 minutes, nosing into 47, which for us is a small time conversation. But, I want to respect your time and everybody else's. I always ask people this question now is like, if you could go back, and I think you kind of answered it, is like, what if you could go back 5 years ago, what's the one thing that you would tell that version of you?
The one thing that I would tell that version of me, I think that version of me, I was taking the big risk and was probably like scared and not really knowing where it would lead. And to just, be brave and be bold and, enjoy the journey. Because that's really, as we've mentioned, like that's what it's all about. I feel like maybe the 5 years ago version of myself heard us talk about that today, and that's the reason why I'm here right now. Because I think maybe 10 years ago, I would have loved to have gone back in time 10 years ago and tell that guy that same advice. To not let indecision be your decision and to go and follow your passions and follow your dreams. But 5 years ago, me did that. And now I'm here and I'm really excited to be doing it. So.
Well, that's awesome. I love that. Don't let indecision be your decision.
100%.
I hope you write that down. If that's not something you say regularly, that's sticky.
It's on the wall, man, for sure. Yeah, no, that was my life for a long time. And now there is no indecision. It's just decision. And then you make whatever decision you make, the best decision. That's the only way you can roll.
Awesome, Ryan. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Just go to leadstack.io and click book a call.
Leadstack.io, book a call, and you can connect onto my calendar. We can have a chat. My email address is just ryan@leadstack.io, soon to launch social media and all that kind of fun stuff as well. So, but yeah, the website's probably the best thing to do right now. And if you want to go back and find fun adventures of the $1 Million Bus and Scale My Life, you can search those fun things as well and see a much less balding version of myself doing crazy things.
All right, my brother. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I super appreciate it. This was, as always, a blast. And everybody else, thank you for watching and participating. And this is Gene. I'm signing off. Thank you for joining LiveCast Conversation with Ryan Lancaster, episode 13.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers.
Bye.